In this part of the lesson, we'll be creating this model here. We have a custom pear gemstone in the center with a halo and some side stones. I'm going to start off by coming into my Counter Design Studio. And I want to use this open ring template, the second one. Left click and it will open up a new file. I will then save this file under a new name straight away. And now we're editing this newly saved file instead of the original template. Okay, so this is the template that we have here. I can show you my dimensions. We'll be using these datum planes to help us produce our ring shank. Okay, so this build I want to create it as a ring size 5. So I'll make that change first of all. Okay, so it changes the template a little bit. Next I'll come in with my gemstone. And I have a pear gemstone that I have in mind with specific dimensions, so let's create them. The length 10.42, my width 7.02, and my depth is 3.94. Place it. Confirm the operation. Okay, now I want to create a halo for this pear gemstone. We have a halo template that I could use. However, I want a different shape to the one that I can get from this. So I'm going to come in and create my halo from scratch. I'll first of all right click, insert a sketch on the datum plane that I placed the gemstone on. I'm going to right click, reference geometry. I want to reference the edge of this pear. I do not want them to be construction geometry references. I want to create them as curves. So I'll pick the edges and we're creating them as curves. One side only. I can show my target now. Okay, now I'm going to pick my lines and concatenate them. Okay, they're not highlighting. We'll check our entity filter. It's all switched off. We'll turn them on. Window pick, concatenate, confirm. Okay, we've created one curve with many points. I like to reduce the data a bit. Right click, reduce data, use the default options, and we've reduced the number of control points there. Let's check that it still stays true to our gemstone. Seems decent. Come back out into our part level. Let's hide these dimensions. Okay, now I want to blank out the center stone or just hide the layer. I'm now going to project my sketch to the datum plane. This will turn it into a 3D curve. I'll then trim extend both ends about 4 mm. Cancel. I'm now going to right click, insert a datum. I want the datum to be at this point on the curve. So I'll pick my curve. Then the origin, I'll right click, curve surface intersection, pick my curve, the surface. Let's pick this front datum plane and we've snapped it in there. Now I'll rotate this datum plane about the x-axis 180 degrees. Okay, to bring up my y. And we'll hide the square. Okay, so now I can create my halo sketch on here that I'll then sweep around this curve. Let's bring back our center stone. I'm going to blank this curve Okay, now I'll right click, insert sketch on this datum that I just created. Okay, so I want to create a halo, a square halo with a channel. Okay, so let's create this halo sketch. I'm going to right click, draw, create a sidewall, width, another sidewall, and create a closed shape. Okay, I'm going to come in with some dimension constraints, right click, quick dimension, or dimension, the sidewalls and the width. Okay, so this is controlling in a way that I want it to. Now I'll come in with the channel. I need to draw a 2-point line, avoiding the auto constraints. I'll then draw another 2-point line, and I'll set up some constraints now. First of all, I'll pick my point to midpoint constraint to constrain the endpoint of this line to the midpoint of my other line, and likewise for the opposite end. Then I'll come in with some perpendicular constraints. Okay, so that is looking good now, and I'll just finish it off by coming in with some more 2-point lines. Okay, and I'm letting the perpendicular auto constraints pop in there. Let's give this some dimensions. The channel width and the channel depth. Okay, now I can trace the profile. Okay, so this is the area that will be recognized by my sweep. Now let's give this some more realistic dimensions. I'm going to increase this to 2.5. Okay, you can see when I change the inside height, it's going to affect the angle at which we have our channel. Okay, I'm going to decrease my width. I think I'll keep this one around the same, 1.75. The channel width, let's say 1.25, and the depth, just 0.25. Okay, let's exit back out into our part level. I'll now perform a sweep, shape, sweep, the sketch, about the curve, confirm. Okay, now I can trim the shape to the side datum plane. You do not want to cap the trimmed region. Confirm the operation. Okay, let's mirror this across the shape to the other side, then heel, sew the two sides together. Okay, so here is our square halo. Save. Okay, now I'm going to work on my shank. First of all, I'm going to rotate these datums down a bit, closer to the 3 o'clock datum. So let's show the dimensions. It's this angle here. Set my entity filter onto dimension, double click, and we can move it down. About 30 degrees is good. We'll hide the dimensions again, and now I'll come in with some ring shank sketches. Okay, I'm just going to use the rectangular sketch to keep things simple. Place it on the datum we just moved, and I'll place one on the 6 o'clock datum plane as well. Confirm the operation, come in and modify these dimensions. I want to decrease the width quite significantly, 2. Height, I have 2.75, come around to the bottom, 6 o'clock sketch, the width 1.75 and the height 1.5. Take the delay solve off. Okay, 1.5. This should be a nice, elegant, feminine ring. Let's mirror this sketch to the opposite side. We'll then come in with our curve and arc, give it a color to stand out, let it snap to the datum planes. Okay, now we can use our sweep. I mean the drive curve loft. Okay, the driving curve is the one we just created. If you're having trouble picking it, use the Alt key or hide the template sketch. The profiles are the sketches. I want the end caps, and I do not need to keep the curves. Okay, so here's the lower portion of our ring shank. Let's bring back or unblank the curve that we blanked out. Okay, in fact I may not even use this curve. But now we're going to build up this shank sweeping up to the halo. I'm going to insert a 2-point line. The first point, right click along this edge, and I'll go a distance of 1.5 millimeters. And then the same for the opposite side, along 1.5. Confirm. Okay, now I'll come into the Freeform tab, split with curves. I want to split this top face of the ring shank with the curve I just created. Okay, so now we have two faces. I'm going to come into the wireframe tab, curve from edge, pick these edges. I then want to copy these curves. I'll use the frame to frame method, the entity, I'll use a shift pick to pick all the curves. The from frame, I'm going to use the face as the from frame, and the to frame is this datum plane up here. Okay, and I'll confirm the operation. Okay, now I want to create this part of the ring shank by performing lofts. Okay, obviously I want to drop down this endpoint, this end datum, so that it comes closer to the halo. So I'm going to come into my dimensions, okay, and now I can modify the dimensions controlling this datum plane. Okay, I can see that one of the dimensions, this one here, let's increase this to greater value, let's say 4.25. Okay, you saw the curves move there. Then we have another dimension, this one here, to drop it down. Okay, so it's inside the halo there. Okay, so the method I'm going to use to build up this part of the shank is by lofting. I will loft edges to edges or curves to curves. Now it will be in our interest to maintain tangencies between this lower shank portion to the upper shank portion so that we have a nice flow. Now edges allow us to create tangencies. Okay, so if we're lofting just curves, we may lose the tangencies that we want. Okay, we have no tangency option here because we have lofted a curve. However, if we were to loft an edge, then we would get the tangency that we want. So first of all, I'm going to erase this face so that we can keep so that we can use these edges as our tangencies. So let me show you again. If I come into the loft, I'm lofting a curve to a curve, pick the wrong side. Okay, I have no tangency control, but if I loft instead this edge to the curve, then I will have a tangency control. So that I can maintain the tangency coming from this face to this face. Okay, so this is the surface I want to create. Only one tweak I want to make prior to creating this surface, just undo the surface, is I want to scale this upper group of curves so that I can make this end of the ring shank broader. I'm going to use a non-uniform scale. Okay, about, I need to specify an about point, the center of this datum plane. Okay, so I want to scale mostly in the Y. I want to make this pretty wide where it connects to the halo. Let's say 2.25. The X I'll beef it up just a small amount. Confirm. Now let's come in with our loft command again. I'm lofting from the edge to the curve. Okay, and here is our lofted face with tangency. Okay, instead of lofting the other sides, I'm simply going to copy this face from a point, this corner, over to here. Okay, I'm bringing it down. Confirm. Okay, so let's build up the other sides. In fact, I'm going to blank out this halo for now. Freeform, let's try the ruled surface, edge to edge. Confirm. Okay, and for the final edges, the ruled surface may work again, but to ensure that we are getting a clean connection at our other edges, I'm going to come in with the bi-rail loft. The paths are my edges, and the profiles are also my edges. Like so, and we'll finish it off. Okay, and this should turn the shape the right way round. Okay, and it does. We have a closed solid there. Let's unblank the halo. Okay, now I'm not liking the way this is connecting. If anything, I would like to have more of a curvature around here. Now I can create this by modifying the angle at which my ring shank here, my ring shank sketch, is. Okay, so if I change that ring shank sketch angle to maybe be more horizontal, we'll be able to create more of a curved loft. Okay, so I'm going to come back in the history, prior to the loft of my lower ring shank, and prior to my mirror in fact. I'm then going to move the sketch, okay, rotate it about a direction, about this edge, and the angle. Let's bring it down close to horizontal. confirm. I'll play through the rest of history, step through it. Okay, you can see how this face is now more horizontal. Okay, so we have more curvature to that part of the shank now. Okay, I'm also going to want to tweak the positioning of this datum so that we bring the end down and into our halo. So let's drop this back down actually. Let's try a 4. Okay, we'll drop the height down. Okay, we're getting closer. Bring the height down a bit more. And bring it in a bit closer. Okay, so we're good now. Okay, maybe I want to move my center stone and halo. Just tweak them back a bit, or we'll move along a direction just so we have better control later on. No angle. Okay, I'm going to bring this dimension back up again. Okay, so I'm happy with that for now. Save the work, hide the dimensions. So here's that part of the shank completed. Okay, now I'm going to divide my ring shank in half. Don't need to cap the trimmed region. Okay, so we have 2 halves now. Okay, next I'm going to build up this part of the shank. Okay, so I'm going to start on the opposite side. We'll use the same method, 2-point line, right click, along, and edge, this time starting from the opposite end. Right click, along, freeform, split with curves. Oops, I picked the shape, I want to pick the face, pick the curve, confirm. Now I'll use the curve from edge. Confirm. Okay, now I want to copy these curves to this datum plane here. Copy. I'll pick the curves. Frame to frame. From frame. This frame here and 2 frame up here. Okay, we have the rotation still in there. Like maybe I should have rotated this datum plane instead of the sketch. Okay, so we're going to have to account for that now. We'll just move these curves, rotate them about a direction. Okay, just correct for that angular move to bring it back to the vertical. confirm. Okay, now I'll mirror these curves over to the opposite side. Okay, now I'm going to scale these curves in the center. Pick them all. About. We can pick the plane or the center we want to scale about. Okay, I'll scale in the X direction. Let's say 1.75. I'm not going to scale in the Y. Now I'm going to right click, insert curve list on these curves, middle click, insert a curve list on these curves, middle click, and finally insert a curve list on these curves. And now I'm going to loft between these curve lists. Okay, it's not letting me pick that curve list nicely. There we go. Okay, so here is our loft. Okay, so we have an issue here, and that is that we are not maintaining our tangencies. Okay, we want to keep the tangencies. And if you remember, the tangencies are lost because we are lofting between curve lists of curves and not edges. Now if we create the curve list on edges, the curve list will keep the tangency of those edges. Okay, so what we want to do is set up edges to create curve lists on both sides here. So I'm going to exit out of this loft. I'm going to blank this shape. We can erase this face. Okay, and I can also delete those curve lists. Okay, I can also delete this mirror actually. Now I'm going to mirror this shape to the opposite side. I can erase these curves on the edges. Middle click. And I will also erase these curves. We have finished using them. Okay, so now when I come into the loft, I'll right click, insert curve list on the edges. Okay, you can see here how we're having some funny shape, and if we look closely, it appears as though this edge is using the tangency from this face. Okay, so I can correct this. I'm going to undo the curve list. I'm going to copy the face, this face, from a point. This point to this point, confirm, middle click. I'll do the same on the opposite side. I will then erase these faces. Okay, now we have an edge in here that we can use to pick up the right tangency that we want. So now we come into the loft. Well, let's first of all create our curve lists. Insert curve list from our edges. Middle click, middle click. Now we will loft from a curve list. Okay, I picked the wrong one there, unpick last. Let's make sure I'm picking the curve list correctly. Okay, and here we have got our loft between our curve lists, maintaining the tangency. Okay, we can just tweak it a little bit to get the shape that we want. I'm happy with this. I'll confirm the operation. Now I'm going to erase these shapes and those faces. Okay, we've used them for the purposes of getting our tangencies. Now I'll right click, unblank all. Okay, so next I want to come in with some side stones, some bezels and side stones. Okay, so I'm going to come in with a cylinder. I'll place it on this center global datum. I'm going to align it to the front plane. We'll give it a radius of 1.25 millimeters, so we have a total diameter of 2.5 millimeters. And the length, I'm going to bring it out this side. Okay, we want to match, let's say negative 5 millimeters. I'm going to shell the shape negative 0.6, so we have 0.6 thickness walls, and we'll keep these two faces open. Okay, now I want to move this cylinder along the negative z axis and a distance of half of its length, okay, so that we get it lined up nicely in the center there. Okay, prior to doing this, I'm going to open up the cylinder in my history manager, okay, so that we can see the length. Now I'll move the shape in the negative y distance of expression, okay, from the history manager. I'm going to pick the length divided by 2. Okay, and since we have a negative length, I'm going to place a minus at the front so that we turn it into a positive. Confirm, and there we have moved the correct amount. Confirm. Okay, now I'll move again in a direction, this time the Z, and we'll bring it up to its resting place. Okay, it looks like I'm going to have to move this gemstone up to avoid this intersection. Okay, I think I want to drop down that cylinder length, edit, let's say 4.5, and we should have our move linked up to that so that it stays centered, and there it stayed centered. Okay, so now I'm going to move this gemstone up. Dimension, let's increase this to a 5.5. Okay, we're going to have to make adjustments to our shank now. Let's increase this to 11.6. Bit more, maybe 12. Yeah, it's a little too much. 11.9. Yeah, I'm going to move it out slightly as well. Okay, save the work. Let's hide those dimensions. Okay, I'm going to erase some curves to tidy up this build. Let's first erase this sketch, and then some curves. Middle click. Okay, there's another curve. Save the work. Now I'm going to copy, rotate, pick this shape, pick the direction, the y-axis. I'm going to rotate this into a position around here. Confirm. Okay, so now I'm not happy with the width of my shank here. I think it's too wide. So what can we do to change this? Well, we'll come back in our history and modify the depth or the height of the ring shank sketch. Come back in history. This was the ring shank. Let's edit the dimensions. I want to drop this down to a 2.25. Play. The loft is fine. Okay, I'm going to have to edit this line. It's going to come down too far. Edit the distance along. Let's drop this down to a 1.25. Continue with the divide. And our loft. Okay, I'm going to have to edit the line on the opposite side as well. Step through the history and see how it comes along. Okay, it's all staying connected. Okay, and we've reduced that thickness there, so I like the look of this better. Okay, so you can see there the power of the history, being able to make tweaks even after many operations. Okay, everything stays connected. I'm going to face offset these two faces, bring them down a bit, close to the shank, confirm the operation. Now let's create a seat for our gemstone to sit on. This is very easy. I extrude the edge. I'll do a symmetrical extrusion. How far down do we want the seat to go? Let's say 0.4 millimeters. Enter. Now we will thicken or expand this. How wide do we want the seat to be? Let's say 0.2. confirm. Let's repeat for this edge. 0.4. Expand 0.2, confirm. Now mirror these shapes across the front plane to bring them over here, and we can do an automatic Boolean remove with the bezels. And there we have our seats. Save. Now let's trim our ring shank. To the face of the cylinder. Let's cap the trimmed region, confirm. Middle click, we'll do the same for this shape. Save. Now let's come in with the gemstones. We're going to want to place a gemstone on a datum plane, so let's come in with the datum plane first of all. Insert a datum. We know that we want it to have the orientation of a front, so we pick the front. Okay, the offset we'll leave for now. The origin, we can define the origin to be right click, center of curvature of one of these circles. Now we can specify the offset. Let's just leave it at a 0. Confirm. Middle click, geometry, XZ plane, origin, right click, center of curvature, offset 0. Confirm. Now we'll place stones. Let's place some rounds. Let's see what we can get in there. Let's start off with a 1.75. Okay, I'll make that a 1.8 on these two datums, and we'll drop the elevation down slightly. Confirm. Now we can come into the Tools ribbon tab, Mirror Components, across the front datum plane, and we're mirroring our stones. Okay, now the design calls for pavés in here, on here, around the side of our halo, and also the top of our halo. Now I won't do this all in this lesson since we know how to perform the pavé commands well by now, but I'll get us started. First of all, it looks as though I need to correct the shape of this part of the ring shank. I want to bring it up higher again because we made tweaks to the width of it, which must have thrown it off. So let's bring back our dimensions. So let's show the dimensions for the ring sketch, the open shank sketch. Okay, the dimension, let's first of all increase this one to 12. Okay, we want these dimensions back again. Let's say 12.25. Okay, the dimension keeps disappearing each time because we erased that sketch further down in our history. Okay, so 12.25 was too high. Let's say 12.15. I'll delay the solve because I'm going to bring this to a 3.9. Okay, I'm just going to have to reduce that height slightly more. Let's say 12.05. Okay, that'll be good. Save the work. Okay, I think I want to modify that move where I moved the pear and the halo. Okay, it's looking a bit uneven, these two sides. It's just a small amount. Okay, so I'll come back to that move, which I believe was this one here. Okay, so that looks a bit better. Replay the rest of history. I'm now going to come to the shape, trim this shape to the entire halo shape. Save the work. Okay, so let's start off by creating some channels in here to parve in. So I'm going to come into the wireframe tab, offset. I want to offset on a face, the curves, or let's pick the face first, this face, the curves are the edges. Okay, and obviously that distance is far too much. We'll start off at 0. Let's offset 0.35, confirm. I'm also going to offset on this face. Offset 0.15, confirm, middle click, going to grab this face as well. Confirm. Okay, now let's trim our curves. Use the one-touch trim, or the trim to corner in fact. Okay, in this in case it will do a trim extend. Save the work. I'm going to mirror the curves across to the opposite side. Then I will inlay. Pick the face, pick the curves, let's say negative 0.2 is fine. Confirm, Okay, that's looking a bit funny there. That's not working correctly. We'll undo. Let's try a different method. Freeform, split with curves, pick the face, pick the curves. Here, we've split that into two faces now. And now we'll offset that face. Negative 0.2. Confirm, and that method has worked okay. Okay, let's use the same method for our other curves. Freeform, split with curves. Pick the face, pick the curves. Confirm, middle click face, curves. Shape, face offset, negative 0.15 for these ones. Maybe we'll increase that to a -2. Confirm. Okay, so here are our channels. Okay, how about a channel for our stones here? We use the same sort of method. Wireframe. Offset. Pick the face. Pick the curves. Going to be the edges. Okay, it looks like we'll only be able to pick one at a time here. Positive 0.2. Okay, so we have some curves here. Now let's come in with an ISO curve on face. Pick the face. We want one here. Confirm, middle click, and we want another one over here. Now let's one touch trim. Okay, for the channel at the back, I'm going to mirror these curves across this plane. And now I'm going to come into the freeform, split with curves. I'm going to pick two faces, chain pick the curves, confirm. Okay, so we have our face here. And now let's, in fact, I'll merge these faces. Here we have one face now, and now I'll perform face offset negative 0.2. Okay, so that's that channel. This one here, I can't use exactly the same method because I cannot merge the two faces since they will not have tangency. But I can try the offset together. Mirror, I'm going to pick the curves across the side plane. Again, we'll use our split with curves command. Okay, we could have combined all of these operations together. I mean the operations for our back channel and front channel. We could have combined them together. Now we'll face offset together. Okay, so that's that channel. We can now erase this shape. Let's add a fillet. on here. And then we'll mirror to the opposite side. Let's sew. Okay, so we know the method of parveying in our channels. We can use the gems between two curves command. Okay, and we know the methods for inlaying in a halo. Okay, and for placing a gemstone at the end here, maybe you want to come in with a chamfer. Just chamfer this end so that we have a flat surface to place that end stone on. Okay, and then you can come in with your gems between two curves. Okay, so I've shown you the principle to make this ring. You can come in and finish it off yourself.